we are looking at data type fragment for schema validation. But first, let's quickly review what we did last week. Last week, it was this one, yeah. This one. So we have this root file, the W3 Schools API, and we looked at adding security schemas. We added basic authorization and client ID enforcement. There are others also, but we just looked at this one. And in addition to that, we also saw how we can use a fragment from Exchange rather than writing the code ourselves here. If we have it in Exchange, how do we add it to our project? We saw that also. We saw also how to add a documentation fragment. So we are going to build on these fragments and add this data type. But rather than looking at the W3 Schools API, we will see the customers API, customers that we built before some weeks, this customers API. And our goal here is, if you go to the course repo in GitHub, probably have these data sets also. We have this, we have this W3 Schools data sets. So in this one, in this first example, it just has one resource. It just, let me show you. Probably I will reduce zoom level. So we just have W3 Schools resource with get method. Now, but in real world, you have multiple resources with multiple methods. So in the customer or in the second one, that is what we are doing. We have customers resource with get method and post method, where when you use the get method, it gives us all the resources. The post method also we use it for sending multiple recorders. We have also customer ID RI parameter, which gives us record for a single customer. And then we have delete also to delete a specific ID. This one we worked together before some weeks. So to this one, since this is more, it has more resources and messages. To this one, we are going to add the data type fragment. We'll also add, we'll just push the security schemas we saw last time to Exchange and also add it here. So let me start with this one. This one is the security scheme we have here. Let's publish them to Exchange, and we don't need to even to include this code itself in our project. I can just publish it to Exchange and then reference it. So let me download this project first. Okay, so let me download it to get this security scheme fragments. So download project. I will show you what I'm doing. I want to download it, and if I go to download folder, I have it here. It is this one. So let me extract it. Extract to W3 Schools. So we have here. So under security scheme, we have this basic authentication and client ID enforcement, right? That we wrote last time. So these ones, let me publish them to Exchange so that I can use them again and again from now on. So I'll go to Exchange. I don't have any asset published. So publish new asset, asset name. I will call this basic authentication, asset type. It is a fragment, API spec fragment, and file upload. Choose file upload here. I want to upload This one. So this is basic authentication. It needs, it says here, it should be either RAML file or zip file containing at least one RAML file. So I'm uploading the RAML file for the basic authentication. Then we'll also publish the other one, the client ID enforcement. Then we are going to add them to our project. Okay, this is published. Now, if I come to Exchange, it is here, basic authentication. I will publish the other one also. This one is client ID enforcement. Asset type is, again, it is a fragment, API spec fragment, file upload. This one. Okay. Yeah, now I have two assets in my account. This fragment is for that I can use as security scheme. Okay, so now in this project, this one, I will share, just follow along, and I will share all the code to the GitHub repo, and you can get it from there. So we have added examples, right? We have examples. This is customer example, single example, and also when it is an array, we have multiple records here also. Now we want to add another folder, new folder. So even rather than, so last week what we did is we added a folder, we called it security scheme, and under it we added two files, one with basic authentication and the other one for client enforcement. Now what we can do is, since I want to bring the to import them from Exchange, I just click this one, dependencies, and under fragments click add, and it goes to Exchange. As you can see, it shows different things in Exchange. You can search if you know its name, you can type it here in the search bar. You can also select specific organization. Now these are from my account. So select my account, here they are. So this one, the basic authentication, I click add one dependency. Actually, I can add both of them at the same time. So we add them like this. Now, under fragments, as you can see, I have two fragments, basic authentication and client enforcement. These are from in Exchange. So let's add them. So our root file is customers, is this one. And we have Exchange modules. As you can see, we have also examples. Examples can also be published to Exchange if you have to use them in different projects. So now, let's add the security schemas. We add them as key value pairs. The key is any name, and the value will be adding the path, the Exchange paths. So security here, security schemes. If I do like this, let's add them. One, let's call it basic authentication. Then space, exclamation, include. Now, the path for it is this one. As you can see, under Exchange modules, I see it here. So basic authentication is here, whereas the client enforcement is here. You need the path for the RAML file. So I can click here and get the path by clicking copy path and just paste it here. The other one also, client ID. Client ID enforcement also include the path for that RAML file. I get it here, click here, copy path. We do like this. If there are any errors on the right, you will see it shows you a red color. So this ones, that means there isn't any error so far. You can also, by the way, project errors. If there are errors, just click also this one on the bottom right, project errors, it shows you what kind of errors are there, but so far there are no any errors. Okay, now we have added these security schemes to our root file. So last week, since we had only one method, we just used one security scheme. But now we can use different, since we have a couple of methods and resources. We can, there could be times where you use some kind of security scheme for some of them and another kind of security scheme for another, for the rest of them. So here, in this one, I can do secured by, and let's see this one, we will put client ID enforcement. That means it will ask us client ID and client security. And actually what we can do is for this one, for the gate, let's make it simpler, basic authentication. So I will just make it basic authentication. And for post and delete, let's make client ID enforcement. So this one, just copy secured by, here it is. Then I want to copy this client here. One also copy it and put it here also for post. And I guess that is an error here. Indentation is very important. So here, this part and this part should be the same level. Here also for delete, I will do the same. And for this gate and for this gate, we want to use basic authentication. I can copy paste this one, or I can remove it from here and make it default one on the top here. So what will happen is, if it is explicitly specified, a different security scheme is specified like in this one, then that will override it. Otherwise, for this one and this one, where we didn't explicitly specify any security scheme, this default one will be applied. So we have added this. We can quickly see if we see different security schemes, client ID enforcement, and username and password. So let's try it. If I come here, this get method, try it. It should ask me username and password. You see here, some username and password. I mean, it is not, this is just placeholders. It is not like enforcing real username and password, but it is specification. So as you can see, it works. If we go to post method, on the other hand, click try it, it shows us. So, and post, for this post method, yeah, here, client ID and client secret are here. So here also I can put some string and it should work. That was inserted successfully, but not really. Anyway, that is this response, this DAM response. So one thing is, as you can see, we use different security schemas. Okay, right now we imported the fragments. We added these dependencies from Exchange. You need to get the path of each one of them by clicking on the YAML file. That's what we have done here. First, you specify the security schemes you want to include in your project as key value pairs, where the key is these names and the values are this path. And then using secured by, you specify the security schemes you want to use. Okay. So that is from last week. Just this one we added. Documentation also, we can quickly add this documentation. It is just for the sake of completeness. Otherwise, we are not writing that much in the documentation, but let's quickly add that also. So add a folder, documentation, And the documentation, add file, click this add sign, file, and this is the file type is user documentation, and the name, just we have one documentation, let's just call it documentation.raml. And we say documentation, it has mandatory keys, the title and content. So the title is a short title, whereas the content is any human readable content that helps your readers to understand what's the goal, what the goal of your API is, what business problem it is solving, and so on. So this one, for example, customers API, and here it is used to retrieve and write one or more customary for this, for example. We can put this, then we come to our root file and we add it here in the under documentation. And other one we have is we are going to talk about data type today. So let me add this documentation first. Okay. So we have here just documentation. I can copy paste this. So what we do is we have documentation, then using this include, we specify the path. We have to make sure the path is right. So the folder name is documentation. So the root file, the customers.raml root file, and the documentation are at the same level. Then that is why we are adding this documentation, because this documentation.raml file is under that folder. Okay. So today we are going to see the data type fragment. Let's do that. So in the examples, first let's see the examples. The examples here. So we are using the customer's data. We have to understand the data, right? The example should, the schema or the data type should mimic the actual data. And this customer's data is from the W3 schools data. You can, this one, you can open it here, and these are the fields we have. So I just took some sample from here. And if you have Workbench installed also, this is the data. So to export one record, just here, if we write limit 1 and run it, it will give me this record, and click save as, and click JSON. So it will save it as JSON. And then after that, you modify it and add it here. That's what we did, this one. We worked on this together before. And question mark means this is optional. So this data type, we want to use it for both get and post methods. And when it is post, we don't want to include customer ID in the back end. The database system will add the customer ID. So we want to make it optional. If we don't make it optional, if we don't add a question mark here, then if we don't add the customer ID when we send the data, it is going to fail. But if you add question mark like this, it becomes optional, we said. So this is one record, as you can see. Whereas in the examples, we have to record this. You can add multiple records like this when the data type should be an array, or this single record also using square bracket when you specify it in the root file. You can use it. We don't. This is not mandatory. I mean, you can use an example with single record, but make it an array. Let's see how we can do that. So the examples, we have added them here. Like for the get, since it's for the customer's resource with get method, this is multiple records, right? So we use the examples. This example is fragment. with two records. So it is an array. For post also the same thing, examples. Whereas here, for the specific customer, it is just one record. So we use this one, a single example. We use this single example. And we will see just how we can use just one of them. The one with a single record also that we can use that also. That one also we are going to see. But first, let's add data type fragment. So I'm adding data type fragment here, new folder. Data type is a folder name. And in this folder name, I'm going to add, click this plus sign, new file. In the specification here, we want to choose data type like this. And the name, I can just, since I just have only a customer, this is about customer. So your name should be, file name should be descriptive, but for this dummy example, it is fine. I can just accept this. And then as you can see, the fragment type here, it tells us what fragment type it is. It is data type. And so the first thing we specify is the type. In our case, it is an object. So this single file, see, this is an object. We want it to expect an object. So here, type object. Okay. Then after that, you can add optional display name and description, but let's specify the columns first. So the columns, after you add type is object, then you need the fields. So how do you specify the fields? We just add properties. Properties. Now the column names, I can come and copy them from here. These are the column names. And paste them here. Now, rather than specifying a value, what we are doing is we are putting the data type. So I will remove these ones. So the customer ID, which is optional, let's make it integer. Customer name, contact name, address, city, will make them string. Postal code will also make it integer, and the country will be a predefined set of countries. So this one, string, and address also string, CD string, and postal code. Just to play with it, let's make it integer. Here, this space is important after the colon. And country also will make it a string. You can add as additional specifications also, like the minimum and the maximum, default value, and also list of possible values. So let's start with the if we are to add additional specifications like the minimum, maximum, and default value, and so on, we don't put the data type here. Rather, what we do is we click enter and explicitly say for country, type is a string. And let's say default value also default. As you can see, there is a default value here. Let's select a default value from the database. What do you have? This country here is France, for example. Let's make France our default value. And also we can specify list of possible values using this enum. Then as you can see, this one we have seen with the query parameters, it is similar. So France should be equal to one of the allowed values. Yes. Yeah, sure. It is saying allowed value. Since I didn't specify allowed value, it is saying this one and this. This France should be listed here under enum is what it is saying. So let's say if I write now, if I type France here, it will go away because it is included in the list of allowed values. And USA, Italy, and UK, and Canada, for example. So what this means is that our API, if we send data with country outside, not included here outside of this list, then the API kit router will give an error. So that is why we are saying schema validation using data type fragments. It is going to check that country is a string and it should be in this list. It is going to check that customer name is a string. For example, you can't send something that is not a string for customer name. And for postal code, if you send something that is not integer, it is going to fail. So that way we validate that the expected data type is sent. And let's add also additional things like for customer name, for example, we can specify the number of characters. You can limit number of characters for this one. It should be between 5 and 10 or 2 and 10 and so on. So let's say, for example, customer name here, the same thing. I have to add type here explicitly, type string, and min length. There is min length also. Minimum length should be customer name, I think, let's say 3. And maximum length should be 15, let's say. Customer name, which one is customer name? This one, can it be longer than that? Let's see. So this is the customer name. Yeah, in some cases it can be longer than that, I guess. Yeah, let's make it 25 to be safe. So this is our data type fragment. We can add more things, but let's make it simple first, and over time we will add additional things. Okay, let's add also the display name and the description here. So display name. So the display name, I will call it customer data type, for example, and the description. So the display name is, we said, a short human readable, understandable display name, whereas the description is more, it should be more kind of detailed. So customer data details, I'm just keeping it simple right now. So we have added this data type, as you can see. Okay, now I want you to pay attention here, guys. So let's go to the root file, the customers.raml file, and we are going to test it before adding the data type and see that it is not sensitive to, like, for example, the length of the customer name, or whether my customer name is a string or integer, or the country. If I send, for example, country is Kenya, it will not fail. Whereas once we add this, it is going to fail. So let's test that. Customers. Okay, here. Bring it here. Let's make it public. I want to test this in Postman. And come here. Opening Postman. Okay. Oh. So this one. Let's see. The get method. Let's test. So if we go here, like the get customers, for example, or the get customers, what we can do is, the method is get. We have the URL here. So we have to add the resource. customers. And here, since we have added the username and password or basic authentication, it should give me an error first until I add username and password. Customers. What do I get? Okay, username and password. It doesn't take this default one. Okay. Probably I have some username and password added here. That could be the reason. Oh yeah, this is the reason. Okay, let's remove this. Send. Okay. And authentication. Basic authentication, no authentication. And yeah, okay, even the empty spaces, because since this is just a placeholder, the empty spaces also it was considering it as username and password. So if I just select under type here, no authentication, as you can see, it says required header authorization is missing. So we have to add basic authentication here for the get method, right? Basic authentication, some random. So it works. Okay. Let's now change this to post method. And for post is not username and password. It is client ID and client secret. So yeah, for the post method, let me show you what I'm talking about. Here, we click these 3 lines and go to post. We have client ID and client secret here. So it is going to give us we will send this data, this test data, and it will give us this message, this response. So I will copy this and change this to under header. I have client ID and the client secret, some random values. It doesn't matter. So the message is post, as you can see in the body. This is JSON, as you can see, and I will paste this. So let's see what response it gives us. As you can see, data was inserted successfully, but not ready. Now, let's say, where is this? Do you see? We have country here. Actually, in the second one, there is no country. So the country, this one, if I put it some number also, it is going to work. It doesn't know. There is no way that it can check. Since we have not added the data type fragment, it is not going to validate it. Even for the ID, I can pass numbers and strings. So on. This one also still it works, and as you can see, it gives us 201. Now we are going to add the data type fragment, and you will see when we send such kind of examples, it is going to say, give us an error. One thing it will check here is, since we specified examples for get and for post as arrays, as you can see here, it expects an array. So if we send an object, it is going to fail. If I send this one, since it is an object, and we explicitly told it, we have added examples here. As you can see, for this one, this example is YAML file, it is an array, this array. So that it knows it is going to validate that. So when I check here, it should give me an error. Send. Interesting. Yeah. I thought it would fail for when it is an array. It doesn't validate that even. Okay, so let's add the data type. And when we add that, it is going to check. It is going to give us an error. Okay. So now we have added the data type fragment here. These are the fields. Actually, in the examples, the example is this one. It doesn't have country. So I should add country. I'll just copy paste this and make some changes. Let's say this is DC and this is CSA and postal code is 21218. For example, address is 24 Northeast 3 something, customer name and John Mark. I have this example. Okay, so now we come here and what we are going to do is under the, here we come here and we add types node. And this also we put it as key value pairs because we can have different types. So right now we just have customer only. Customer type, I will call it, and then exclamation include the path for this fragment, copy path. Let's see if I do copy path. Yeah, okay, I don't need this. It is at the same level as the customer. So what I do is data type is the folder name followed by the file name. So we have added this. Now this type, I can simply add it to my, let me see. Yeah, for this one, what we can do is, let's say here, type. So this is types. You can specify a list of key value pairs for your types. But here I'm specifying, it's just putting type and this key, then it is going to get its value for this one. So type, like this one. So as you can see, customer type, this one I can copy paste it to the rest also. For post, I have here, can put here, and for customer ID, or yeah, let's do that also for customer ID, for specific record also, I will put it here. And what's left for post? Okay, I have some errors. Let's see what the errors are. Should be object. So see the errors now. It is checking and it is giving me an error. It is saying customers.raml should be an object because customers.raml is an array. I have multiple records, right? And I'm using here the customer type, which is in the customer type raml file here. As you can see here, I specified object. Here also you see in the second line, it says postal code should be integer. Before it was just errors, these errors were not there. So let's fix that. How do we fix that? So we come here. Yes, we know for the customer's resource, it is multiple records, so should be an array. So if you have an object type, to make it an array, you have square brackets like this, here and here. So that means one example, I can use it by adding square brackets like this, because if you have, let's say, let me get back to Postman. This is an object, right, of single record. But if I just put it within square brackets, it will be an array. So this is an array. It doesn't matter how many records it has. So this one also, by adding this square brackets after the type name, you make it an array. Now, if you go to errors, the errors we get now are different. Postal code should be an integer. Okay, let's get back. So the other thing is these examples now, we will remove them from here and add them to the data type fragment. So I will remove these. I don't need this one also. I don't need this one also. I will show you why I'm doing that. So now in the data type itself, here, data type, if you come here, then we can add an example in the data type itself here. So come here, example. So the data type is in this data type fragment, we have used only string and integer, as you can see, but you can have arrays and all other kind of data types. You can also have custom data types, your own data types. Like, for example, if you have, let's say, a flight data type, the flight data type could include destination, takeoff time, and its price, and so on. So you can specify one data type fragment in another data type fragment, is what I'm trying to say. We can also specify an example in the data type fragment. So rather than adding the example to the root file, you can add an example here. So I'm adding it here, exclamation include. So, okay, we want to add, since we said this is an object, as you can see, type object, we want to add this one, the single record, this one. We want to add this one. So I will come add it here. Examples. Oh, yeah, I have to, okay. So this one, there is one trick thing here. Our, let's see, data type is under data types folder. Let me collapse all of them. Okay, so the data type file is under this data types folder. To add this example from the examples folder, first I have to come out from the data types folder. To get back from that data types folder, you simply use two dots like this. Two dots forward slash means getting back to the previous level. So now when I start with, it should autocomplete it. Let's see. No. Okay. Two dots. Examples. Yeah, examples is here. And then I want to add this customer. Yeah, now it worked. It took some time to detect it. So see what we have done here. If we are referencing a fragment from the customer, from the root file, you don't add these two dots and forward slash, because the folders are at the same level as this customers.raml file. However, now we are adding an example RAML to this one, the data type RAML. So we have to tell it where exactly it is to show that it can get it. Like if you think in terms of Windows, for example, if I come here, let's say I am under this one, and a file is at this level, at the 5th level, but I'm coding something under this level. So to tell it that it is one step higher in the folder structure, I just add double dot forward slash. Or in Windows, actually in Windows also, we have seen, I think, a similar example. In Windows, let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let me go here and go to the MuleSoft. So I'm copying that path. In here, I will change my working directory to that path. CD means change directory or change folder. So as you can see, I'm there. Now, if I put CD dot dot, it will get me one step back. As you can see, now it is here at this level. And if I do cd dot dot, then it will go to fish and so on. So that is what we have done here. Now, since we have added an example to the data type fragment, and it is an object, now we don't need this data type, this customer's examples fragment. We don't need this one. We can use the same data type just by adding square brackets when the expected data type is an array. So in here we have the customer type. We know it is an object. It has a single example. But for the customer's resource for both get and post, since it expects an array, just we add this square brackets. Whereas for a single customer ID, since it should be a single record, it is an object, then we didn't add this. We didn't add this square bracket. So you see the same fragment, the same data type fragment, we can make it, we are using it both for as an object and also as an array. There is an error. Let's fix that error. What is it? Postal code should be an integer, yes. So let's go in the example. Now I don't need this customer's examples fragment. I can remove it. Remove just one example we are using. And in this one, it is saying postal code should be an integer. Yeah, okay. Postal code should be an integer. Why? Because here, under the data type, the fragment, let me see. Why is my computer not responding? Okay, bear with me, guys, for a sec. What? Okay. Yeah, okay. You see postal code, where is it? Postal code here we have put as integer. So, and the other thing is, in my example, it didn't give an error, but the way I put the example is not correct. Because when we put it like YAML file like this, we don't add commas here. We add commas when it is a JSON, key value pairs with JSON. We put it in curly braces and we separate each field using commas. But here we don't do that, and I have commas here. The reason that it didn't fail for this one is because they are integers. I mean, they are strings. So the comma is considering it part of the string. Whereas for this one, even if this part is an integer, since there is a comma here, by combining both of them, it is considering it as a string. And that is why it is saying postal code should be an integer here. And let's see why it didn't say the customer ID. Maybe it is because the customer ID is optional. Where is it? Customer ID here is also integer. But maybe it is because it is optional. So let's go fix that here. Remove all the commas here. We don't need them. Okay, now the error is gone. This is an integer. Now this France rather than France, let's put Kenya. Country should be equal to one of the allowed values, as you can see here. You can see an error here. So the schema validation is working. It went away. And if there is an error, when you try to import it to Endpoint Studio or publish it to Exchange, it will not work. You have to fix that first. Let's see first, for example, we didn't pay attention and we put Kenya here. There is an error, but we didn't notice that. Came here. Actually, here also you can see there is a red rectangle here that shows there is some error somewhere. Now, let's collapse this. Don't see it. Let's pretend. Then when you click publish, it should not work. First, it tells you you have to fix the errors first. The same thing when you try to import it to Endpoint studio also, it says it is not a valid run file. See this one, cannot publish with errors in root file, one functional error. So we get back, we have to first make sure by expanding this, there is not any error. So yes, so we added the data type fragment now. It is going to validate if our sent data fulfills the data type schema specified. So let's get back to here. And for post, one thing, question number one. If I send this, do you think it will work or fail? Can you guys try? Share your answers in the chat. So it is a customer's endpoint with a post message. And I'm sending this one. Let's make the customer ID 1, for example. So this one, if I send it, what do you think will happen? Will it work or will it fail? Take 1 or 2 minutes and think and share your answers in the chat. So I can show you, let me quickly show you first what we have in here. This is the customers, right? Customers resource, get method. For type, we have this customer type, data type. And the customer type data type is this one. It is an object. And we have specified the. If you want me to show you anything also, if you have any question in the specification, I can show you. But yeah, this, if I send this data, what errors do you think I will get? Or will it work? Or if it has an error, how can I fix it? Anyone? Okay. It won't. Okay, why? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Pascal and Lee, I think, yeah. Your answers are very close. I mean, not every, they don't include everything, but yeah, they are among the answers. Let's check. So first thing here, we have said this is an object, okay? And country should be what is specified here, otherwise it is going to fail. Country should be equal to one of the values. Didn't I fix it in the example here? Okay, this one, let me fix it. So for country, it should be what is from, it should be from this list. And in Postman, the country I have is some number. Okay, I will change this to SA. We solved one error. What else? We solved one error in customer ID. Postal code should be an integer. It says also postal code should be an integer. Right now, what I have here is not an integer. I have to remove this comma because within quotes, I have a number followed by comma. So that's some string. Okay, we made that an integer. And another one. Yes. And the other thing is, this is an object. However, in here, we have put that this should be an array. It doesn't matter about how many records you have. Is it put as an object or as an array is the main thing. So we are putting this as an array. So here also, when you send this, we have to put it within square brackets. If I put like this, now this is an array. So we solved 2-3 errors that it had. Let's check. Let's remove them and check what errors it gives us. Okay, send. Invalid, as you can see here, invalid schema for content type application JSON. It should list the possible errors. Okay, so first one, it is giving, it should be an array, but found object is what it is saying. Okay, no problem. We can put it within square brackets and make it an array. Just send one or more records, but it should be as an array. And now it will give us an other error. It says country should be among from the specified ones. Yes, country is. Just fixed it. Now there is another error also. Postal code should be an integer, but it found string. Why? Because there is comma here. And now, what's the error? Okay. Integer found string. Okay, I see. So this one should not be within quotes. Yeah, now it worked. So we fixed the country, we put it from the list, which we put USA, postal code also, it should be an integer. And yeah, it worked. For this one, for customer ID, since it is optional, it is not giving us an error. Even if we put one as a string, let's change it even to some random number. This one still will also work. Yeah, it is still working. Now let's test with others, with other specifications we have. Like here, for example, customer name, we said it should be between 3 and 25. Okay, where is customer name? Let's say we have a company called AB. This one, it should fail. Let's see what does it give us. Minimum length should be 3, but actually it got 2. And let's also make it longer. So you see, you can understand that why the schema validation is very important. It also it makes sure correct data is coming in. Also, it helps us to secure your application. So now I will make it even longer. I hope it is more longer than 25. Now it will say maximum should be 25. As you can see here, maximum should be 25, but I got 60 is the error. So yes. Okay, now if I make this 3, it will work. Perfect. Now, rather than this customer's endpoint, rather than customers, rather than this one, let's send a single record to this one. That means we are going to add an ID. So let me add ID 1. Do you think this will work or fail? Can you share your answers in the chat? So now I'm using I'm sending to this one, to this endpoint. Let me show you the endpoint again. This URI parameter, customer ID. So if I set this, will it fail or work? Anyone? This one is our last question. We are done for today. Okay. Change the method. Oh, it has post method as well, though. It has post method. So you see this customer ID, it has both get and post. We are testing, since we are sending data, because get that it doesn't need, in the request part, we don't have any specification for get. So we aren't sending any data for get for both of them. This data type specification is for what is sent, not in the request part. That means use the post method. Okay, yes, that's the trick. Yeah. It expects an object, as you can see here, post. It is customer type without the square brackets. The square brackets for this post under the customer's resource, it is an array, whereas here it is an object. How do you know it is an object? Because here we specify the data type is an object. But for this one, by adding these square brackets, we are making it expect an array. Okay. So now if I click send, as you can see, invalid schema for content type application JSON, error expected type is JSON object that it found JSON array. So yeah, this is very interesting. It's very nice. Keep practicing with it. So tomorrow, our intention is to build a network of APIs. So what we are going to do is we are going to put different data sets in different sources. I'm thinking in AWS, because we have worked with RDS and with S3, we will put data in different tables. Then this will be, we will build system APIs, which are called SAPI, acronym, process APIs, PAPI, and experience APIs, network of APIs we are going to add. So the data set we are going to use is W3 schools again, that has different data sets. If you come here under W3 schools, we have customers, all these data sets. And if you have, since you have MySQL Workbench installed already, let me show you one thing that what we are going to do, and we will continue from that tomorrow. So if you come here to database, and under database, there is reverse engineer. From reverse engineer, just this connection, it asks what connection to your database. This is the local one. So click next. I don't need to do anything. Click next here also. So here it asks me, select a database. What are we doing here? We are going to create what is called an ER diagram. It shows a relationship of the tables. I want to show you something. It just creates an entity relationship diagram. So we want to create an entity relationship diagram for this one, how the different tables are related to each other. Just click next, execute until it finishes. Okay, next. Finish. So see what it has created for me. It is telling me there are this many tables, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we have 8 of them here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it shows me how they are, how we can join them. Let's say right now we are playing with customers, right? Let me bring it here. And the customer can put an order. So there is orders here. And the orders, they will have details about them. There is order details here. And an ordered thing is a product. So we need the product information. So there is product information here. And this employee, it is, so which employee is handling it? It's like this employee. Let's remove it for now. We want to make it simpler enough to understand, to help us understand the concept. So I will remove this one. Shippers are one, the order you put, who is going to ship it. Suppliers, who are the suppliers, and also the products you ordered. What kind of categories are they? Are they perishable, for example? Do they need special care, and so on? But for our case, I mean, creating all of these system APIs, it will take us time. So let's remove some of them and just retain only some of them, and we'll work with that. So delete this one. Probably categories. Yeah, let me remove this one also. It is the same thing. Remove this one also. Suppliers also, I will remove this one also. So we will have only this. So where is customer? A customer orders when that ordered, it has an order detail, and it is a product detail, we get it here. So you see under customers, we have, under customers, what do we have? These are the fields or the columns. You see, there is customer ID, it is integer. And in orders also, there is customer ID. So you can join this one and this one using customer ID. You can also, even when you just highlight, when you hover over this line, you see, it tells you how you can join them. And this orders, it has order ID and, okay, it has order ID. I think the order ID, you can join orders and order details on the order ID. So if I hover over here, you see it shows me how I can join them. And if I come here, there is product ID here. So if you hover over here, it shows you can combine them based on product ID to get information on products. Why are we doing like that? Because there are different fields in the different data sets. Let me open this and show you. Even it could be easier in here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here, let's see. So we are talking about customers. Okay. We have this customer ID. What this is, this could be a static table that doesn't change, but the orders, it is dynamic. There are customers are ordering over time. So you want to have that in a different data, in a different table or in a different database for that matter. But here there is a customer ID field, and we have these customers. Okay. Now, if you come to orders, you get a customer ID. So you know, since you have this ID, you know which customer puts this order. And this order is not that informative because there are numbers here. There is order there, but these are numbers. So to get more information about this order, you have this order ID, and you can go to the order details table. What does it have? There is order ID here. And by joining that based on the order ID, I can get the product ID and also the quantity of the products. Now, using the product ID, I can know a given customer what product they order. Using product ID, see there is product name and unit and the price. The price itself is here. And then, if this is Amazon, and let's say, for example, the robots are taking care of your orders, they will take these tables, and the supplier is important. I mean, the shipping, let's see, where was it? There is somewhere a shipper ID, there is supplier ID here. So we can get the supplier ID by taking this supplier ID and going to suppliers. List of suppliers. Based on the ID, you know which supplier is supplying that specific product, and if it is broken or if it has some defects, and if it has to be returned to that supplier, then they get it from here, and they know the address here or the phone number, they can get it from here and call them and so on. So that is what we are doing. So what we are doing is basically we will have system APIs at the bottom, and then by combining them, we are going to create process APIs and so on, like network of APIs, right? Like what we have been talking about. So this one right now, we are just talking with customers, but I will do for the same thing for the rest also. And then in any point studio, using REST Connect, we can request the other APIs. For example, when I pass a given customer, if I have some of the data in MySQL, some of the data in Postgres, some of the data in S3, when I pass a given customer ID, using that customer ID, it should get the corresponding data sets from here, from all the sources, combine them, and give and return. That should be the function of the higher level API, for example. So that is what we are going to do tomorrow, but